Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogens. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. It's May 16th, and today is Honor Our LGBT Others Day. So shout out to Dennis Perone and all the freedom fighters that have helped us to get this far. National Do Something Good for Your Neighbor Day. National Sea Monkey Day, because everyone loves a sea monkey. International Day of Living Together in Peace. Not sure what that's supposed to mean, but whatever. It's also National Barbecue Day, so you know what Gretchen's going to make for dinner. And it's also International Day of Light, as well as National Coquilles Saint Jacques Day, National Biographers Day, and National Classic Movie Day, along with National Love a Tree Day, and just the last three, you guys, Gretchen's favorite. It's National Mimosa Day, National Check Your Wipers Day. I'm not sure why that even makes sense today, because they should be doing that before the winter starts.
And I'm a Bloody Mary girl, Jason. I don't like mimosas.
I'm with you. I like Bloody Marys over mimosas too. I am going to agree with you on that, Gretchen. And get ready for this. It's National Deface Your Day, Deface Your Body Day, because it's National Piercing Day. And
isn't that every day for you, Jason Beck?
I don't have any piercings, Gretchen.
No, the National Deface Your Body Day.
That's National Piercing Day. That's my point. It's Deface Your Body Day.
All right, you can't take a joke. You're no fun. Gretchen's not having any fun today. I'm going to tell you right now.
Jason got his third nipple pierced.
You guys are just haters. Whatever. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that fancy little QR code right there in the top-hand corner of your screen to find out where we live on the internet. And we're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube and audio only on Clubhouse. And if you are joining us in Clubhouse, you can also participate in the show by raising your hand if you have a brief comment on the story most recently presented. But kicking it off today, that's right, it's Rico Lamitte. It's the dope dad who made his way back to the jungle or some other planet where he is taking care of little baby Yoda. That's right, it is the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
Thank you very much, Jason. All right, so my story is coming out of beautiful Thailand. The stick or the carrot? The answer to that question was settled generations ago in Thailand. But going forward, who knows? Thailand's 56-year-old health minister and cannabis advocate, Anutin Sharvinikar, turned heads Sunday, showing up in a black shirt and bright green cannabis leaves printed all over it to cast his own vote as a prime ministerial candidate for the Boomjaitai Party, campaigning on a promise to promote medical cannabis after successfully pushing for decriminalization last year. Without explicit regulations in place, rec use has flourished, and Thailand's become a cross between Southeast Asian Amsterdam and Las Vegas, bringing in canna-curious tourists in from far and wide and turning conservative haters into live-action Arthur memes, shaking their hands, shaking their fists silently at DW in disgust. The irony is that Newton promised voters if he were reelected, he'd tighten regulations to curb recreational use and restrict cannabis to medical use only. But like a wolf in sheep's clothing, Newton was all smile Sunday, emerging from the voting booth in that cheesy-ass weed shirt that he had on. And though he refused to answer any press questions about the shirt's significance, it was blatant that it was a nod to the youngins out there watching that he's 100% down for the culture with a K. The Newton's party ran on the same platform in 2019. In that election, they came in 5th place, giving it a position in Thailand's current military-backed government. In a country with 52 million eligible votes are at stake. Mute. A new leader could stand to upset the status quo of nearly a decade of military governance, headed by retired General Prime Minister Prayuth Chan-o-cha. Prayuth faced off against populist platform of the opposition Pheu Thai Party, backed by billionaire Shinawatra family, which has won every election in Thailand since 2001. When the results were tallied, Thai voters delivered a surprising and stunning verdict in favor of Pheu Thai, advocating for significant institutional reforms in the country. However, this could mean a reversal of current cannabis policy, which has led its current unregulated market and faced criticism from many parts of society. Thailand's reformist opposition and the youth-led Move Forward Party, MFP, won big, securing 152 seats in the majority in the House of Representatives. The MFP now has to reach an agreement with the Pheu Thai Party, which also secured 141 seats. In 2018, Thailand became the first South Asian country to legalize medical cannabis, and they decriminalized recreational use last year, allowing home grow for personal use, and after notifying their local government and removing the cannabis plant from Category 5 list of controlled substances. Those opposed to the policy voiced concern about negative impact on Thai society. The decrim efforts for personal use and cultivation were initially intended for industrial purposes, but that backfired. The trap sales rapidly expanded throughout the country, with lawmakers failing to implement necessary regulation. Technically, the sale of recreational cannabis remains illegal in Thailand, but enforcement has been inconsistent at best in cannabis shops and consumption stalls found on nearly every street corner in major towns and cities across the country. While the MFP's position on cannabis, led by Pita Limjaranat, is less clear, the new Pheu Thai leader, Phitongnarn Shinawatra, has taken a firm stance against weed, telling Bloomberg recently that she does not want her children to grow up in a country where drugs are easily to find and cannabis is liberalized. Pheu Thai aims to reclassify cannabis as a narcotic while preserving medical use, but it's unknown whether the effects on the current cannabis policy can be reversed in practice, because the sale of cannabis for recreational use is creating such a lucrative market. It's a market that the Thai Chamber of Commerce forecasted to grow beyond $1 billion by 2025, which could be a game changer for all involved. But its government is torn on how to move forward, so Thailand's cannabis industry is currently in a state of limbo. On the one hand, cannabis tourism has revitalized the local economy, bringing the Southeast Asian nation back into prominence. On the other, both dominant political parties are advocating to curb unregulated rec sales. What will they do? It's obvious the genie's already out of the bottle, and the Thai trap is doing what the trap does globally: win. So it'll be interesting to see if the new Thai government actually comes together with some people-first policies here, instead of following America's several failed political paths into legalization. But if history serves as a point of reference here, chances are they'll choose the latter. Get your popcorn ready. Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street. Love to hear from the rest of the team on this one. Will Thailand go forward with recreational, or are they going to curb all of the efforts?
I mean, I just can't wait. There's going to be flights with so many Americans flying back from Thailand after this. They're like, hey, we got to get out of here. They're going to start prosecuting everybody.
Yep. I think that if anyone thought that like Asia was just going to run wild with cannabis, like they obviously haven't been paying attention. I mean, they're still like, like giving you lashes if you like spit on the street in some of those countries there. So it's like, hey, that's fine. I think it's great. I think honestly, Thailand, the rich history, the deep history with cannabis, and also like smuggling to America. I mean, it's a great story. It's meant for the big screen, but it's not meant to be making green, if you know what I'm saying.
How much of this is pressure from China?
None. Do we know, are there any actual market numbers, Rico? Like, how much is cannabis really doing for Thailand? I was surprised when you said that Thailand's making a comeback because of cannabis. I was like, really?
That was my question. Are there any numbers?
The tourism. So everybody is, I mean, if you've seen some of the videos posted on Twitter of the prostitution is through the roof.
well, the cannabis tourism is through the roof, but it's like
that's
a
lot of money.
Prostitution was always through the roof in Thailand. Like that's nothing new.
The passport bros are going out there for cannabis and going out there and having a good time, and it is stimulating the local economy. Just put it that way. Who knows what the real numbers are when it comes to actual cannabis, because it's all trap. And
it's all trap.
Yeah, right. And they are
it's all import.
Well, sure. Local growers are all complaining that it's coming from America.
I can tell you. Wait.
Okay, so hold on. No,
wait.
I did a quick old little Google, because Google's my friend. And it says the Thai medical cannabis market, because they have medical, I suppose, is 122 million.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say it's probably even more than that, realistically, because they're getting $30 a gram for indoor flower right now.
From Los Angeles, US. Right from sunny Los Angeles,
US. That's right. California cannabis.
That's why the crackdown is happening, and it's gonna be an issue.
I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that Thailand is not tapping into its own genetics from the country.
No one from around the world wants that, though. They want that gas from the Los Angeles or Bay Area. This just affirms California grows the best weed in the world.
No one wants to smoke that outdoor booth, Nicole, and you know it. You don't even want to smoke.
Nicole, when I go to a country, I am looking for the local genetics. Period. I don't want weed from California that's been shipped to that country. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I love you, Nicole. You're a unicorn. We love you,
Nicole. I'm with Nicole. She's no unicorn. Why wouldn't you want local grown? You want something that's supposed to be grown there.
You only want local grown if it's good weed.
It's a shame. And we covered that story last week, that all of the Thai farmers are complaining that they can't sell product, period. Because there's too much trap
because
product.
the high quality California weed is flooding the market. And
I doubt that.
Let me tell you.
Well, there's a lot of connoisseurs.
It might be flooding the market, but I think it's the cost. I don't think it's the people begging for it.
No, because the outdoor weed is the cheaper cost.
No one's buying weed. Outdoor weed.
They can't compete.
Gretchen, I want to see Gretchen's stash. I want to see Gretchen's head stash. Gretchen, pull out the head stash, girl. Let's see what you got in that box. Yeah. What you got in that bag.
I will say, and people have seen, I have consumed. And when I consume, I like the outdoor. I go with outdoor. I don't like the indoor.
Gretchen, that's the unsophisticated palate. That's
my unsophisticated, humble palate I love. Don't give me that bullshit that y'all grow down there in hot ass LA.
And all the stuff.
Whatever junk you're putting on it.
Sun-grown is hot.
I'm just gonna say,
give me the good stuff.
Indoor took best of show in the Emerald Cup this year. Just saying.
Okay, Jason. Yeah.
Because we know none of those contests are ever biased.
Hey. Let's not trash talk the winners.
Are you going for a recount?
Recount.
The Emerald Cup is the most fairest
who won?
On the planet.
It's
I believe
the most
you.
prestigious
who won?
The fairest.
I mean, when you say the winner, who was it?
We got second place.
Fig Farms, Blueface. Fig Farms, Blueface.
Fig Farms. Shout out to Fig Farms.
Yo, check that out right there, guys.
Oh yeah, Saman won an award. He took second place.
So Saman, you got a participation trophy.
Yeah,
second place.
I got a consolation. No, my partners and I, the women led Hello Again, and my the founders, my partners, we did some great work over the last 4 years, and I'm so proud. These ladies are incredible, and they've taken this company all the way to the top. And from our humble beginnings in my kitchen to here, it's a good feeling. So respect.
Dope. Congratulations. That's dope.
Hey,
man. All of Hello Again's products is all made with indoor flowers too.
Actually, it's not. It's made with organic. It's made with organic, like herbs and different plants.
Organic herbs.
And I use THC and CBD. And we'll get into that one day on the show. I'd love to be able to highlight the product, but look, we're changing lives out there. We're healing people with cannabis, regardless of whatever age, gender, anything, ethnicity. This is something that transcends everything. Is using cannabis for a better life.
And how soon till you get your product on the streets of Thailand?
You know what? That's a great question. We'll talk to the Thai government one day. But look, I mean, this is one day we will be able to do all this, and this is just part of the game, which is
today's not the day, but we got to go to a commercial because today is not the day for that.
It is actually my story.
Oh, yeah. You know what time it is? That's right. It's Tuesday over here at Green Street, and we got Smoky Vanilla with us in the building. So that's right. It is time to stretch and smoke. We just got done smoking. Now we're going to stretch it out, and then we're going to smoke again.
Let's go. I'm Smoky Vanilla with my background in kinesiology and bodywork massage and assisted stretching. You got to come check it out, baby. Check me out on IG at Smoky Vanilla 1, Stretch and Smoke. Twitter, Smoky Vanilla. Social Club, Stretch and Smoke. We're also on Sports Recovery by Dan and Jam.
If you want to feel as good as I look, then make sure that you get a stretch and smoke in with Smoky Vanilla. Yeet! Oh, yeah.
Let me just say something. I always want to feel as good as Jason Beck looks. Always.
Yeah. Exactly, Nicole. That's what I'm talking about right there.
It's propaganda.
Exactly.
Is it really possible to feel that good?
Yeah.
You saw the tent that he pitched. Anyways.
Oh.
Going forward. He is the cannabis industry's longest continuously operating retailer and the man who says that he is the only one that can push 45 into running on cannabis legalization. Y'all know who it is. Jason Beck.
Oh, yeah. You are so right about that, Rico. You are so right about that. But today I have a very interesting story coming out of the Sunshine State. That's right, Florida. Because a Florida marijuana proposal goes to the state Supreme Court, you guys. Attorney General Ashley Moody has formally submitted a proposed adult use marijuana ballot initiative to the Florida Supreme Court and signaled she will argue that the proposal doesn't meet legal requirements to go before voters in 2024. Man, I bet Kim Rivers is pissed right now she put all that money into this. The political committee Smart and Safe Florida is sponsoring the proposed constitutional amendment and has far exceeded the 222,881 petition signatures needed to trigger a crucial Supreme Court review. After receiving notification from the Secretary of State, Cord Bird last month on Moody on Monday took the step of seeking an opinion from the Supreme Court about the initiative. The Supreme Court reviews issues such as whether proposed constitutional amendments are limited to single subjects and whether the proposed ballot language is clear. In her filing, Moody wrote that she thinks the proposed amendment fails to meet the requirements of part of the state law. Though she did not elaborate, she wrote that she will present additional arguments through briefing at the appropriate time, she states. In addition to needing approval for the Supreme Court, the Safe and Smart Committee needs to total at least 891,523 validated petition signatures to put the measure on the November 2024 ballot. The State Division of Elections website listed 786,747 valid signatures as of Monday afternoon. The adult personal use of marijuana proposal would allow people 21 and older to possess, purchase, or use marijuana products and marijuana accessories for non-medical personal consumption by smoking, ingestion, or otherwise. Florida voters in 2016 approved a constitutional amendment that broadly allowed medical cannabis, and the congresswoman wants marijuana. Oh, why is that there? That's weird. Sorry, guys, but that's no. That's all good. It just continued a different article. Sorry about that. That is basically the wrap on what's happening in Florida, is that this voter initiative is getting challenged at the Supreme Court level before it even goes on the ballot. Florida, you're probably going to get screwed and not going to get to vote for medical cannabis this 2024 election. That's going to be my guess, because this is kind of the same tactic that they used the first time before they got medical cannabis on the ballot in the first place. There was a few hiccups around this single subject issue in regards to Florida. And I'm going to just wait and see. And I'm pretty sure Kim Rivers got to be pissed. She dumped over $5 million into this, and this is where it's ended up right now. But I'm going to digress and see what y'all have to say. And this is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News. What do y'all think?
You mean adult use, don't you?
Yes, adult use.
Okay.
Sorry, did I misspeak?
Yes, as usual.
Oops.
Question. Do you have any actual language from this bill? What are they complaining about? What are they saying is not... She
did not speculate. She did not speculate. She just says it's no good. It doesn't cover. It is not covered under the single use subject, and that she said that she. Let me go back to the article so I can give you her exact quote.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it? In her filing Monday, she wrote that she thinks the proposed amendment fails to meet the requirements of part of the state law, though she did not elaborate. She wrote that she will present additional argument through the briefing at the appropriate time, which means she's stalling this. She's looking to see how this is all going to happen. All out. She's installing, writing papers, protesting.
Well, I don't know if the woman's stalling. She's probably just trying not to give away her strategy there.
It's called the stall tactic, Gretchen.
Isn't that what stalling
smart
is?
politics, Jason Beck.
It's called stalling.
Stalling.
We shall see. I think Florida wants adult use. I don't think that the Supreme Court is going to stand in the way of this. I think it's going to happen.
You think?
What does Ron DeSantis want?
Oh, what? Huh?
Ron DeSantis wants to
What
keep
does
it out
Ron
of.
DeSantis want? What does Meatball Ron want?
His actual name is.
He wants to defund the social equity programs. That's what he wants to do.
Oh man, I have a story all about that for tomorrow.
Criminalize them. He wants to jail social equity applicants and tell other.
That's crazy. Stop it.
No, what's crazy is taking Black history out of education and school. That's crazy. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
And not being able to say the word gay in school, right?
That's crazy.
And
yeah.
Can't be indoctrinated.
Doing Disney World for wanting to hire gay people.
Yeah,
it's because they're indoctrinating kids, Todd.
Don't wait.
Let's go to commercial.
Married in Disney World and then try to shut it down.
And here's a word from our sponsors.
You guys are so funny.
So Florida. I mean, if they don't go forward with recreational, if they don't go forward with adult use, I think Florida could be a bastion of hope for a medical only state. You know, they have so many old people there.
You're crazy.
That MSOs are selling garbage cannabis. First of
all,
members in Florida, they come to Las Vegas or they come anywhere outside of Florida, and they're like, "Oh, this is how it's supposed to feel."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
They are doing that too.
Or they go to Thailand. And then
and what did Ron DeSantis say? DeSantis said that to renew a license is going to cost $1 million. Right?
They got the money to do that.
Is only going to be the biggest of the big, and that's a perfect play.
Florida already is the biggest of the big, bro. Florida already is that. Okay, so like just by them making it.
There are no small operator options in Florida.
Exactly.
Florida has 800,000 patients.
What was the recent application opening for? It wasn't the what they referred to as Black Farmer. It wasn't that. It was the.
My story is going to cover that tomorrow, Saman. We're going to get into that in a whole.
Oh well, all right. Well, I'll digress. Well,
Saman's such a visionary.
Yeah. Vision, baby.
It's so futuristic, dude.
There's no way on God's green earth that Florida is going to remain a medical only state, and I will put good money on that.
I agree with
money that Jason Beck won't pay out, but
they like the money.
I've always paid out.
Please,
I put out and pay out.
What about that?
They like the money only for the big operators, so they want the money. They're going to placate to them always.
That part's true.
Yeah,
you're right about that.
So they want the money. They see the money that they're making the money right now, selling garbage medicine to people in Florida, and so of course they're going to go adult use.
Florida, when we have interstate trade, I'll tell you that much. All the booth that they produce.
They will. They will. But as they say, it's a club, and you're not in it.
You ain't in it. That's right.
You ain't in it.
My name's Funny, and I've been all up in it.
Big shout out to Meatball Ron though. Meatball Ron out there making waves.
Meatball Ron, bro. His name is
Meatball. It's what?
De-sanctimonium.
Lordy.
Ron DeSanctimonium.
Yeah, Ron DeSanctimonium. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
I like meatballs.
I like Meatball Ron.
Meatball Ron.
Gretchen likes meatballs.
Who doesn't love meatballs?
It's National Barbecue Day.
Who doesn't like meatballs? I don't know, man. I don't know. Some people don't like meatballs.
It's National Italian Grandmother Day.
Yeah, we're gonna go over to our feisty little redheaded conservative Gretchen Gailey, who's the founder of Profit Strategies and loves to dress her dogs up in ridiculous outfits and parade them all around Washington D.C. as a public display of mutiny. More animals. PETA needs to intervene, but nonetheless, she's coming up to tell us all about a funny story that I cannot even believe that she is covering today. But I'm going to digress because we have Gretchen Gailey.
All right. Thank you for that lovely introduction, Meatball Beck. Here we go. My headline today is coming from the Daily Herald out of Jason's favorite state, Illinois. A lounge for pot smokers is coming to the OK Cannabis Dispensary in Wheeling. A Wheeling Cannabis Dispensary has been given village permission to open the first recreational consumption lounge in Cook County. Patrons of the proposed area of OK Cannabis will have to follow a slew of rules before getting high there, however. Perhaps most significantly, only customers will be able to smoke in the lounge, and they'll have to buy the pot they intend to smoke from the dispensary on the same day as their mandatory reservation. That means people won't be allowed to bring weed from home, and edibles of any kind will be forbidden. Patrons will be permitted to use only pipes or other smoking devices purchased at OK Cannabis 2. Additionally, reservations will be limited to 90 minutes with an additional 30-minute cool-down period, during which consumption won't be allowed. Alcoholic beverages will also be forbidden. And just like the entry rule for dispensaries across Illinois, lounge patrons will have to be at least 21 years old. After a lengthy presentation from one of the OK Cannabis owners, Wheeling's Village Board on Monday announced unanimously approved the special permit for the lounge. Under state law, municipalities can allow on-site pot consumption at licensed dispensaries, but few have. The only such consumption spot in the Chicago area is at Rise in Mundelein. OK Cannabis opened in early February in a building shared with Westtown Bakery Cafe and Lounge. Both businesses are a part of the Chicago-based 50/50 Group. 50/50 Group president and co-founder Scott Wiener talked about his company's plans for the lounge and answered questions from board members Monday night. OK Cannabis is on the north side of Wheeling's Restaurant Row, and Wiener called the lounge a unique opportunity for the largely commercial strip. There's a demand for it, he said. The board also heard opinions from a few audience members about the proposal. Two supported it, with one saying he and his like-minded friends are looking forward to using the space. A third person, occasional government critic Deborah Wilson, opposed the request, calling a cannabis lounge a public safety risk and a bad idea. Now, I know Jason thinks this is a dumb story, and I don't really care about the story at all. The reason that I read it is I would love to hear people's opinions on social consumption lounges. Are they really worth their weight at all? I mean, with so many rules put on them, especially this one, you got to buy it there that day. You can only have their products, yada, yada. Are they really providing the relief that many had hoped for in this industry? Are they worth the effort? This is Gretchen for I9 News.
Well, that's a great question. From a business perspective, if you have a consumption lounge, I think that's a great means for people to consume the products that they have purchased in the store. Now, from like me as like a consumer side, do I go to consumption lounges and smoke their weed in the store? No, I smoke my own weed, and whatever. I'm going to smoke my own weed. I'm not going to a consumption lounge to go and buy their weed to smoke their weed. I'm going there to smoke my weed if I would choose that.
Yeah, but the question is, are you really going there? You know, do cannabis consumers really need a lounge, right, to go smoke weed?
They do. A lot of people can't even smoke cannabis in their own homes. I know. In my apartment, I'll get a $500 fine every time I consume flower inside of my house from my homeowners association. And
does that stop you?
So how much do you owe at this point?
There's a number of people. There's a number of people that live in public housing and Section 8 housing that would lose their housing if they got caught smoking inside of their house. So yes, there definitely is a need for this. However, how the regulations are set up, it's only for the rich to be able to get the benefits of the consumption lounge, and not for the people that really need it to be able to have a safe place to actually consume.
Jason Beck, to your point, people, they're not setting up lounges for people's needs. They're setting them up to make money and for a bar setting for
no, Gretchen. They are.
When this whole medical cannabis thing first started, we smoked cannabis inside of the dispensaries in San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley. You set up and you smoked in there because there was a designated place for people to have a safe place to consume.
Yeah, sure.
That was the initial intent. Yeah. Okay. And then legalization came around and screwed all of that up.
That's true. And Gretchen, here's the reality is like, if that's the case, if you're like, hey, this is whack, then what needs to happen is like what happens in places like Oklahoma or New York, where you can just smoke anywhere and it's lawful. That's what we're missing in a lot of these states that legalize. You can't smoke on the street. You can't smoke in a public right of way, like a park or something like that. So where are some of these people to smoke? If, like Jason is saying, you know, like he can't, there's in his building, you can't smoke. There's a lot of people that have that problem that don't have like a balcony or something like that.
No, I get that 100%. However,
so it's like you're like breaking the law basically if you're doing it outside. So where else are they supposed to
I've been there. The question is,
let
me ask the actual question before you guys try and answer what I'm going to ask you.
Gretchen's been breaking the law.
Breaking the law.
Breaking the law. Go ahead, Gretchen.
Are y'all done? Are you all done now?
I'm working this out of our system.
But there's so few states that actually allow the consumption lounges currently.
True. There's a lot of municipalities that don't allow consumption lounges.
That's correct.
There are a lot of municipalities that don't allow dispensaries. I'm missing. I think what was the point of the whole thing? I mean, I get what the point originally was. I'm saying it's not there anymore.
I mean, your question was, does it like, are they getting the value out? Yeah, does it matter? And I think it matters, but I also think like we just have this like weird way of like integrating this cannabis thing into like normal society with like people wanting to like hang out at bars, like commingling alcohol and cannabis is such a big problem for like the regulators, right? So it's until they figure it out, it's going to be some weird stuff, I guess.
Oh, this is funny. Ingrid, who lives in Chicago, she says that OK Cannabis is also serving booze and coffee.
Wow, interesting.
So, shout out for the crossfade. Not Chicago.
Right. That's how it was in California with the Cannabis Cafe.
They weren't serving alcohol there.
There was no alcohol there?
Nope. And nope. 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 And nope. No alcohol there. Now they do have a separate address, and they did apply for a soft liquor license where they can serve beer and wine, but you can't actually walk with that into the same area where you consume cannabis.
Yeah.
But that was just silly.
That happened like way at the end, like when they first opened for the first year and a half or whatever. There was none of that.
Right.
They didn't get that secondary license until like a week or two before they closed down due to COVID.
All right, one last question for our business-minded folks in the room.
Always happy to help.
Thank you. Would you get a social consumption lounge license?
Yes.
Would you put the effort into it? You think that there's money in this?
Well, first of all, you don't like apply and get a social consumption lounge. You get issued that by a local municipality who is allowing for that type.
What are you talking about?
That's how you get it.
You get a license. What are you talking about?
It depends. Gretchen, it depends on what else is coming with the license.
No, I'm saying just straight up social consumption. I have a friend who has a social lounge license, and that's it. A conditional license for a lounge.
How are the other things there? Can you sell food? Can you sell entertainment there? Like if you can sell other things, yes. But like, if you're just doing consumption, like how are you going to?
Yeah, you're not going to.
Exactly. That's what I'm asking. Is it worth it? Is it worth the effort?
Well, that's why I'm saying if you're connected with a dispensary and the dispensary subsidizes that space, then that makes sense because they're going to get a benefit from their customers being able to.
And
do
if they don't,
then you're not going to make any money, and there is no point to having it. You might as well just stand on the sidewalk and smoke weed.
Because, like,
Nicole, you were well
in the Vegas
in this
market
too.
This is
exactly what happened.
How is
this was exactly
what
happened in Vegas, right?
Yeah. So in Vegas right now, they are the lounges that will first open to market are going to be attached to dispensaries. They're going to be retail operators. And so right now in Vegas, you have Nuwu that already has had a consumption lounge now for the last 3 years.
Yeah, but they're a reservation. They don't even count. They're a reservation. They're not subject to the same.
Oh, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, in that model, it was inside of the dispensary, which makes sense. But when you are independent, there's going to be 20 independent licenses that have been issued out here in Nevada. And they have to come up with something pretty clever to bring people into their lounge, into their consumption venue. I know one concept that GLP is doing is going to be a farm to table concept. So it's probably not going to be smoking. It's probably not going to be combustion at that type of venue. It's out in Pahrump.
No one's going to go to that.
Well, we'll see. We shall see. People from Las Vegas drive to Pahrump for their organic produce. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. I mean, they're going to have to create some sort of experience around it. It's going to have to be some type of chef, maybe a 3D type of retreat that they'll have to attract people to come all the way out to Pahrump to try an infused farm to table dinner or meal.
They can tie it into one of the brothels out there, and that'll increase traffic.
If they put it in the brothel, people would go.
That's right. That's right.
Artisan Hotel.
People would literally show up for that. But we got to go to a commercial, you guys. We're going to be right back.
Keeping up to date on the evolving policies of relevant state, local, and federal governments is key to success. When the future of your business is at stake, you need representation as dedicated as you are. With a maze of laws and regulations surrounding cannabis, hemp, and psychedelics, knowing where to begin can be a challenge. Good thing the law offices of Omar Figueroa features a skilled, highly focused team ready to guide you through it all. They're accepting new clients in California and New York. So make sure you check them out at info@omarfigueroa.com.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in regularly and watching us here at High at 9 News. Make sure you head over to our website. Go over to www.highat9news.com. Make sure that you are signing up for our newsletter. You will get a confirmation email in your inbox or possibly even your spam box, and you will not be subscribed until you hit that. So make sure you search that out and find that. Also, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And also, too, please make sure that you tell all of your friends about High at 9 News and share this channel with them, because organic growth is the best growth. Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated. You with us, Rico?
He is the.
You're the man.
Speaking over each other today, man. It's just so much spice, man. So much spice. He is the co-founder of the Smuggleverse and president and founder of Digipath Labs, and a dope granddaddy with a golden voice. Coming up next, y'all know who it is. Todd Denkin.
Thank you very much. And because I'm a granddad, I have a grandma and grandpa story. Headline from Cannabis.net. Grandma and grandpa are getting way too stoned. Doctors issue warning about seniors and THC. There are a number of reasons seniors are trying out cannabis for medical purposes. Some seniors turn to cannabis with help sleeping. Researchers found that overall, cannabis helps seniors get, on average, an extra 30 minutes of sleep per night. Study participants use smartphones and actigraphy watches, I think I said that word wrong, to log into their sleep patterns. Some seniors believe cannabis can help with battling aging itself. Seniors are turning to cannabis to treat common symptoms of aging, with nearly 80% of those who reported using cannabis say they did so for medicinal reasons, according to a study from researchers at the University of California, San Diego. Results of the study: Cannabis, an emerging treatment for common symptoms in older adults, was published on October 7th, 2020 in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. Hashtag Cannabis Marketing Director Christine Bryant described today's more potent weed as a different animal. The difference is when using a topical, you're not going to feel the intoxicating effects of THC, but you will feel some anti-inflammatory effects that THC can provide for the skin barrier. That's the difference with an oral product like a gummy or a chocolate, something like that. You're going to process it through your liver, and you're going to feel it throughout your entire body. In the event that you consume too much THC, sniffing black peppercorns is an old hack that can reduce some of the effects, but not all of it. And studies show improvements in setbacks due to seniors' cannabis use. Last January, researchers from the University of California, San Diego, published a study in the Journal of American Geriatric Society suggesting that emergency room visits involving people 65 and older who use cannabis have increased 1,800% in the past 15 years. What? Another study published in the Journal of American Geriatric Society also reported an uptick in seniors who are consuming cannabis. In a survey of nearly 600 adults in the age range, found that 15% reporting used marijuana products in the last 3 years. Anyone getting into cannabis should be aware of the proper titration in order to prevent panicked calls to the emergency room. And due to an uptick of incidents involving seniors consuming too much cannabis, doctors are warning older citizens about how to consume the plant correctly. Eating edibles in particular, without the proper guidance, is notorious for causing panic, though the risks are rarely physical. KOMO News in Seattle reports that doctors want to inform seniors about ways to avoid panic and an unnecessary emergency room visit. This can be solved with simple education about the differences between edibles, topicals, and smokable products and how they affect us differently. It's the responsibility of any consumer to properly research before eating an edible or consuming a high THC product. There are a number of different situations where you could end up in the emergency room department because of a combination of cannabis and medication or cannabis and another product, said Dr. Leanne Harano of the Geriatrics Department at Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. If you are a first-time user, or if you are somebody who is used to using products from the 60s and 70s, today's products are way more potent. Your body and your metabolism might not be used to that level of potency, she said, and it can be quite scary. The Wall Street Journal reports that seniors are often susceptible to consuming too much cannabis if they are used to lighter doses. So once again, education is necessary for everybody, especially seniors. I'm Todd Denkin with High at 9 News, a dope-ass grandpa. So I prefer the high-quality, high THC products, but that's me. My metabolism is used to it. But yeah, lots of seniors go into the emergency room because of a gummy. That's
Todd,
pretty great.
Todd, are you eating a lot of cannabis, or are you vaping or smoking? What's your?
I usually smoke, and I'll do a gummy to go to sleep every once in a while. But yeah, edibles, they mess me up too much, so I don't really imbibe as much.
So we have to consider.
I prefer to smoke a joint.
Yeah, me too. I'm a flower girl too. I prefer to smoke, but we have to consider that this study or research that was kind of done, group study, it doesn't say where they're getting these gummies from, right? They could very well be Delta 8 gummies out of the gas station.
I don't know. I think it's legit. I mean,
what is legit though?
Well, your liver is processing this stuff, and so imagine, like, you've been alive for so many years, and your body has gone, your organs have gone through so much, and now your body is, enzymatically converting these things to another higher, like a more potent version of the drug. When it converts to delta hydroxy 11, it increases the effect and the potency of the delta 9 like significantly, like 10x. Okay, so that's what's happening, and that's why they're getting like this unintended effect. That's what most people get, like when they freak out on edibles. So it's just how our body is is dealing with like breaking these things down, and that's really it. And so I mean, but you're right, like it could be some like weird Delta 9 converted from CBD that has some Delta 8 in it, some weird stuff. It's kind of like,
but also, I always recommend to my senior, to anybody really that ask, if you're trying to get the medicine from cannabis, then putting sugar on top of your cannabis dosage is just not good. Like, and any of those gummies, any of those edibles, the sugar is the first ingredient. Cannabis oil is the last ingredient.
Yeah.
So how much cannabis oil are you actually getting? You're probably getting way more sugar in each dose that you're taking.
Well, that's 100% true. And, you know, those things are, I mean, they're complex, right? Because your body's also used to like absorbing those, but it's absorbed differently. But like, yeah, I mean, sugar is just the most convenient thing, I think, for edible makers.
Also, too, if it's a sugar-based edible, it's gonna absorb into your bloodstream as opposed to going through your liver like a traditional edible. So I think that might be part of the reason for the sugar as well.
I mean,
the sugar is for taste, and the sugar is to make it like candy, and so the sugar is so that you don't feel like you're consuming candy.
That's not always true, Nicole.
I mean, for just a THC thing, it's not, sugar does not like automatically pass the blood-brain barrier for the cannabis, for the THC part. You know, your body has to go through the normal pathway, it goes through your, through your digestive system. So it's it gets in your blood through that and through your like liver and through.
So it's more faster acting if there's sugar in there.
No, that's not.
No, you need a fat. You need a fat as a carrier, and it doesn't necessarily have to be sugar, butter.
I mean, you need a high density lipid, but like there's nanotechnology. So what they're doing is they're encapsulating the oil base with a water molecule, basically. So the water molecule can pass through the blood-brain barrier, and it's carrying this oil-based non-polar, compound, which is THC or CBD or whatever cannabinoid. Even a terpene could pass through, but the THC is much more complex. So they have to create pretty significant emulsions and like force these products to be solubilized. So it's a whole thing, but that's, sugar is not, that does not mean it's gonna work faster. So whoever's hearing this, just know that that's incorrect. But Jason's,
either way, whatever form that seniors are consuming their cannabis in, I think a good takeaway from this story is there needs to be education. If you look at, and I will speak from personal experience, my mother, I guarantee you, has consumed much more cannabis than I ever have back in the day, long time ago, and when she was in college and all that jazz in the 60s. Fine, I buy that. But now I actually got her back on to using a tincture because she had concerns about her health. And she had no idea where to begin. She didn't even know what a tincture was. Just the formats have changed so much from where a number of seniors have come from before. And she didn't even know where to begin with dosing. And I'm not a regular user, so I had to ask friends who were able to guide her towards the right products to try. And her doctors don't know jack. I mean, it took her 3 or 4 tries to convince her doctor to give her the recommendation so she could go get her medical card in Pennsylvania. And it's just, I think for a number of seniors who may have used in the past, the formats and all the consumption habits have changed so drastically from when they did. Because she was not consuming as I grew up. This was not, she did it. That wasn't her path forward. But now that she is actually able to use it, and the only reason she's using it is because I told her to. Is because she was concerned about her health. And I'm like, cannabis is what you need to be doing. Screw what your doctors have been telling you. And she got 100% better. And she did not go for it. I told her to do it, not her doctors. Right. But she did it for a medical reason.
So listen to
Gretchen. Not enough advocates like that talking to our seniors. You're absolutely right, Gretchen. It is not the weed of the 60s, of the time that they knew. It's totally different now. And they're overwhelmed. Most of them are overwhelmed when they walk into a dispensary and they've got some young bud tender telling them, this high THC product, that'll work for your sleep.
And I can't go in with her. That's another concern for her. She won't go into a dispensary. I have to look for it first. I have to explain it to her. I will go get it from a state where I can use my card to go get it because she's too scared or too confused to go in. She's afraid they're going to try and sell her something else.
And just those trap products they sell there in Washington D.C., Gretchen. But we got to go to commercial.
Anyway,
right back.
Listen to Auntie Gretchen. Educate your seniors.
Auntie.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
Oh, yeah. Coming up next, we have the little purple-haired princess herself, right? Coming in right from Nevada. That's right. It's Nicole Buffong. You can find her here on Tuesdays. You can find her on Power 98 in Las Vegas, Nevada on Wednesdays. Oh, yeah. Bringing the perp. That's right. It's Nicole Buffong.
Oh, thank you so much, Jason Beck. And just for the record, it is Power 88 right here in Las Vegas.
Sorry,
every
Power
Wednesday.
88.
Power 88. That's right.
Oh, Jason, get it right.
So thank you, Jason, for that introduction. I'm going to jump right into my article today. It was posted on Benzinga. Why cannabis farmers in Eswatini are against legalization. Growers in the local growers there are opposing proposed cannabis reform. Marijuana activists and farmers in Eswatini, previously called Swaziland, are raising their voices against the medical marijuana legalization bill. The South African Kingdom, the Southern African Kingdom, is looking to reform its century-old drug laws by legalizing marijuana for medical and research purposes. However, cannabis advocates in the country say the proposed law disrupts the current trade, which has been helping many families eke out a living for decades. Marijuana farmers argue that the legalization is crafted in a way that would only serve the kingdom's upper class, while they will suffer the economic consequences. Doesn't this sound familiar? Eswatini's Cannabis Association chair told Semaphore that the measure is aimed only at establishing a new regulator, the Medicines Regulatory Authority, which will be allowed to import, export, and trade wholesale cannabis and cannabis products. They cannot be both the referee and the player at the same time. The chair said, you cannot, as an authority, give yourself an export and import license while also issuing the same to people. Marijuana farmers are afraid that under the proposed law, they will have to compete with wealthy businesses, which is true. Eswatini cannabis is popular under the name Swazi Gold and is often praised for its high potency and medical properties. The country's traditional marijuana farmers would rather continue to be in a difficult position regarding the regulation than see the reform that would undermine their operations. Unfortunately, many are not optimistic about the proposed amendments from Eswatini Cannabis Association being included because of the organization's lack of political power in this absolute monarchy. What will happen to marijuana legacy growers in Eswatini, where healers are known to recommend cannabis for medical purposes, remains to be seen. This is unfortunate. I'd love to hear what my fellow correspondents think about this story. It seems to be history repeating itself, allowing the rich to benefit from this industry only, and leaving out the legacy operators that have been providing medicine to their citizens for decades. So I'm interested in hearing what my fellow correspondents have to say about this story out of Africa. This is Nicole Buffong reporting for High at 9 News.
Sounds like
it's very unfortunate.
Sounds like these guys watching what's going on in Thailand, and they're like, not in my country.
Right.
Exactly.
The pot industry is an oligarchy, right? I mean, only the rich can really participate, not only in Africa, but everywhere.
That's right.
Because it's just the way it has been set up, right? In order to produce all of this tax revenue.
Unless you have organizations on the ground advocating for the opposite. In Hawaii, those big operators try to come into Hawaii this last legislative session. They created language that would have eliminated the co-ops, that would have eliminated the people that have been providing medical cannabis for the people in that country for 20 years. And advocates said, hell no. And they're going to have to keep showing up, and and those bills did not pass in the legislative session. And so if nobody is showing up and the only people showing up are the people with money, the lobbyists with the money, then that's what happens. So it's like we can't, the fight never ends. And believe me, I saw it. I watched it happen. I was in Hawaii twice this year, and I saw the advocates on the ground say, we are not going to allow our cooperatives to be destroyed with adult use coming in. If the only way to do it is to allow only MSOs, then we're not going to have it. And another year goes by without adult use in Hawaii.
I mean, I look, the whole thing is just totally upside down, right? It was so much more vibrant and so much better for all the caregivers, but the government didn't have the control, and that's what it is. The government is trying to just gain control over us independent, sovereign individuals out here that are making stuff happen on a big level. And it's unfortunate because Africa, obviously has been mired with like the colonization and all that, and a lot of those farms and whatever are to be exported, and it's like those people on the ground, they never get really their just desserts, as they say. But I think personally, there's no, it's like the cat we've opened the Pandora's box. The cat's out of the bag, it's not going back in. So it's like, everything's going to have to reform in one direction, and then it's going to have to reform back in another direction after that. That's just how the political game is played, and I know we have our astute political operatives here. We have Gretchen and Jason, who have been in the, have been there and are continuing that fight. So, respect goes to them, and respect goes to all the colleagues that are doing that, because it's not just an American thing, it's a global thing. And we're going to have to set a pace for a reform after the fact. So, hopefully that happens, but that's a sad story.
Yeah, I mean, California is a perfect example of seeing the co-ops go away, and this oligarchy taking over of all cannabis industries. I think the co-op way is a really good business model. And,
it actually was a really good business model.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Was, I guess, is the right term. You're right.
Definitely. Be
But
wary.
it keeps the medicine away from people who don't have the money, and that's the whole concept. Is people who need the medicine very often don't have the money. Nicole, how does this change? How do you make change? Just by showing up with signs and signatures?
Doesn't the insurance industry work the exact same way, though?
Yes.
It does.
That's all.
Signs and signatures matter. They matter, Todd.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, how do you change it? But look at the biggest scam. The insurance industry is the biggest scam in America.
You show up. The more people that show up, the better. The politicians listen to when people show up. Like,
show up to protest adult use, people. You hear that? Show up to protest adult use. Keep it medical. That's keep it. That's what we need to do.
All right, and let's keep it moving here. So up next, we got a patient advocate and 15-year regulated market industry vet who's worked all across the U.S. from Colorado, California, Florida, Massachusetts, and New Jersey. Y'all know who it is, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Saman Razani.
All right. Well, I got a heater out of Marijuana Moment, our favorite. This is about interstate commerce. Regulators and advocates discuss next steps for marijuana interstate commerce. A top California marijuana official says that the U.S. already has an established interstate cannabis market. It's just been unregulated, forcing cultivators to make the choice between staying legal by isolating products from each operation to one state, or engaging in illicit activity by selling across state lines. But now that 3 states have enacted legislation positioning them to authorize marijuana imports and exports, the conversation about the future of cannabis commerce is evolving, with stakeholders, advocates, and regulators becoming increasingly mindful about the opportunities that would be created by a borderless industry. The Alliance for Sensible Markets hosted a webinar on Wednesday at which a California cannabis regulator, a former Washington, D.C. regulator, and an attorney discussed the problems with the soiled status quo of the marijuana markets and the efforts to enact legislative and administrative reform. All 3 Western coastal states, California, Oregon, and Washington state, have enacted legislation that would authorize governors to enter into agreements with other legal states to allow marijuana imports and exports once federal policy changes. California's law also uniquely contains a provision to trigger that authorization if the state attorney general issues the opinion that interstate activity wouldn't create a significant risk of federal enforcement action, which is very interesting. Matt Lee, general counsel for California Department of Cannabis Control, said that restricting marijuana markets within state lines is economically untenable. If the Michigan auto industry could only sell cars to people in Michigan or Florida, orange growers could only sell orange to people in Florida, or if the California wine industry could only sell wine to California, I'm not sure that each of those would be a viable legal industry, he said. He also observed that it doesn't seem like coincidence that the three Western states that have moved on interstate commerce legislation are the ones most closely associated with selling marijuana outside the state borders through illegal, unregulated means. A huge motivation here for me, at least, goes back to one key way to strengthen our legal cannabis market, is to stop forcing folks to choose between that legal market and the interstate market, which historically all the action has actually been done. Lee said, adding that the states have been grappling with this inherent tension under federal prohibition. Regulators want to promote participation in the legal market and keep activity above board. But, end quote, on the other hand, the point of legalization is to bring the market out of the shadows and into the regulated space. What grabs me about interstate is that this is the space where I'm not sure you need to make some of those hard choices or hard trade-offs. He said, this is a way to grow the pie for everybody in a way that can still work in states and still protect all the important interests that the states are already protecting. Beyond normalizing the industry and fulfilling the objectives of legalization, interstate commerce would also help address the diverse supply and demand issues of each individual state, said Rafi Crockett, a former commissioner of the DC Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board, who is also a member of the Cannabis Regulators of Color Coalition, CRCC. We do not have the physical capacity in Washington, D.C. to grow enough cannabis to satisfy 700,000 residents that live there, the 20 million plus visitors who come every single year to the city. We can't do it, she said. Our cannabis is going to continue to come from Oregon, from California, from Washington. So let's work out a system where we're able to do that in a way that's safe and provides patients with the best access to the best medicine that they can have, and that is allowing for small businesses in those states, small businesses in my jurisdiction, to all continue to thrive, Crockett said. We have a cannabis industry, a flourishing, thriving cannabis industry that has operated wonderfully for generations, she said. We produce it in the Northwest, and we consume it in other parts of the country that works. And we know it works. We've all been used to it throughout our lifetime, and so the imposition of the new and completely artificial industry is a real problem here. What we need to be doing is looking at, how does this market work? What are the best things that are good for the market? What are the things that we can learn from that market? What are maybe some of the red flags or things that we might not want to adopt from that market? But that's one that we already know how it works. So let's take that model and utilize it. We are never going to get rid of the unregulated shops unless we do that. The panel also talks about federal policies, including the Controlled Substances Act and the U.S. Constitution's Dormant Commerce Clause. Marijuana is federally prohibited as a Schedule I drug under the CSA, but Lee said that the law doesn't contain unambiguous, unmistakably clear affirmatives that speak to the interstate commerce issue. What's more, a federal circuit court ruling in Maine last year affirmed that the state marijuana laws with residency requirements for cannabis businesses violate the Commerce Clause, which meant to prevent states from enforcing policies that unduly restrict interstate commerce unless given specific instructions from Congress. In November, the Oregon marijuana business filed a lawsuit in another federal court, declaring that the state's current ban on cannabis exports and imports to and from the state violates the Constitution. Lee said that as a lawyer, he feels there is substantial theoretical force to the Commerce Clause arguments, though that he added the cannabis lawyers in particular often need to temper our legal theory with a bit more political pragmatism. Looking ahead in the short term, stakeholders are eagerly awaiting updated federal marijuana guidance from the Justice Department, something that the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, said that his office is actively working on. And now that might affect the conversation around the interstate cannabis commerce. Also, after California's legislation was enacted last year, Lee authored a letter to the state attorney general requesting that the office provide a formal opinion about the potential risk of authorizing cross-border marijuana imports and exports. Lee said that the regulators are still waiting for that opinion, and they're probably going to be waiting a long time. The California Attorney General's office told the Marijuana Moment last week that they have no updates at this time. Adam Smith, founder of the Alliance for Sensible Markets, said during the webinar that they are working to coordinate with the West Coast governors to get them to request specific interstate marijuana guidance from the federal Justice Department. But he said that in general, we feel that it is tied up for a political decision that will allow this to happen. If we can get the tolerance and guidance from the Justice Department this year, he said, I think we will have a conversation going on the highest levels between states by the second half of this year, and on how to get this stuff off the ground and moving, and that we are conceivably and likely, in my eyes, going to be moving between cannabis between legal markets in the first half of 2024. That's incredible coming from this person. Yeah, on the other side of the country, New Jersey's Senate president introduced an interstate marijuana commerce bill last year. A legislative committee in Maine recently rejected a similar legislation, but as the chair said, it could be revisited through another vehicle. And that's Saman Razani reporting for High at 9. This is a doozy of a story, guys. What do you all say?
I think interstate commerce is necessary. It's just necessary, right? You brought it up in the first part of the article, right? We don't just buy oranges in Florida, right? It's just silly.
It is a pipe dream to believe that you're going to have interstate commerce in whatever timeline Adam Smith just gave.
24, second half of 2024.
That is
first
pipe dream. First of all, there's two things that have to happen before you can have any form of interstate trade. Okay. First of all, you're going to have cannabis off of the controlled substances list.
Right.
Okay. So that's not going to happen in that amount of time. Okay, Saman. And then secondly, you have to have a standardized testing for each of these, for like overall a standardized testing standard, because you can't have a vape cart that tests clean in Oregon that wouldn't test clean being sold in California under California's testing requirements. So until there's some baseline federal path on that type of a platform, there is going to be none of this, and all these people are just hyping people up that don't know where to follow or understand how to be led into some vast land of never happening, basically.
Yeah,
you're right, Jason. I mean, the fact that testing regulations are different in every state are just dumb. It's just dumb. I'm in the testing business, and you're right. It would have to pass testing here in Nevada to be able to it would have to pass in California. And to create that standardization, you're right, is very far away.
Yep.
Oh. Yep.
I wouldn't say it's that far away.
They're selling pipe dreams.
And it's going to kill social equity.
Well, at least they're selling pipes.
There are places that have the standards. We just need to adopt them.
Go for it, Gretchen. What you got to say about this?
Well, there's not a standardization, nationwide.
I'm saying the feds have the resources. These standards are available. They just don't care to use them.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't think the standards argument I don't think the testing argument is the issue. I agree, Jason, that there has to be a universal standard. I'm saying those standards already exist. If the feds wanted to put it in place tomorrow, they could. But then
But they're not.
They won't. But then when they do put it in place, a whole lot of products going to fail and get thrown out.
100%. That's for sure.
I mean, every lab across the country uses their methodology a little differently, and that's why we see this relative standard deviation from lab to lab. It's, usually it's within, 10 to 15%, which is bad. That's a bad range for analytics. But, to be fair, they can, with regards to that, yes, but like they can get they're asking, these governors to lobby the judicial, branch hold on. The governors are lobbying the judicial branch to give them a guidance on what tolerance they'll allow, and that can supersede things. Yeah, but they can supersede things like having to get cannabis removed from the CSA.
You know how much guidance they're going to get? They're going to get a good old piss up a rope.
Exactly.
Piss up the rope. That's the word of the century. Piss up the rope.
That's from good old Dale. Piss up a rope.
Also,
Good,
the last point,
Uncle
and then we can close out Rico. But the other point is that if you think there's going to be interstate trade amongst just a few states that have, hey, we're next to each other, whatever, and that would be through an interstate compact. Interstate compacts have to be approved by Congress in order to be approved. So the fact that these governors are getting together to powwow and whatever, yeah, that's great that they're getting together to talk about this thing because it's an important subject, but they're not going to be able to get anything done. It's going to be all just for optics and fundraising and whatnot and pandering.
I have no faith in the government, just FYI.
Nobody does. But thank you all out there for tuning in with us for yet another episode of High 9 News. You can always catch us weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans showing love and getting their comments projected on the big screen live. Our live audience members and online supporters across platforms tuning in and giving us feedback on the daily headlines. Our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, all of our sponsors keeping the train rolling. And of course, Jaja Simone over there holding things down for us in Clubhouse, keeping our AV struggles to a minimum. To the haters, I'm usually all about the love, but today I'm hoping your fingers cramp up mid-keystroke and you end up tearing a tendon and can't roll joints anytime soon. Yeah, I said it. And as always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason the High at 9 News team shows up to read these headlines every single day. Thank you. It's Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. The show is over, and you've all been blessed with today's top industry headlines. Hope it was enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street, with your daily reminder that when life gives you no place else to turn, you can always turn the fuck up. And close us out today, Saman Razani. You got the closing words for us.
Coming from me and my daughter, we're going to say positivity, respect each other, and love each other. Say hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca.
We got to go fix some dollhouse. Love you guys. Much respect.